All right, today we have a great guest, JP Bolwahnn. He's a former SEAL turned life coach. He's helping people live their best life through his 5-step process to get what you want out of life. And we go over those 5 steps as well as asking the questions that lead us to finding our purpose, right? And to improve with the quality of life. And we also kind of discuss the power of a coach, right? Because a lot of us have reservations about asking for help, thinking we can figure it out on our own, which we inevitably can, and we will if that's what we want to do. But, why not try and accelerate that? Why not leverage other people's experiences? So we dive into that as well. And I think it was a really powerful conversation. I really enjoyed talking to him. I always enjoy talking to other, special operators, as well as, former veterans that have made the transition into civilian life and completely, upended their life and their family's life by changing professions, midway through the game, right? So it was great talking to JP. He brings a ton of experience, and he's got some great stories of people that he's coached and brought them to the next level in life and brought that success just by taking those next steps. So I really enjoyed talking with him. I hope you guys enjoy the show. Please leave a rating and review. Let me know what you think and how we can make it better. All right, so let's get to the show. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to The Art of Winning with your host, Ashton. Today we got a great guest, SEAL, coach. He's done a lot. He's doing a lot. I'm really excited to talk to him. JP, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Ashton. Excited to be here.
Yeah, no, this is great. I love connecting with other operators, other military guys, especially dudes that go on to do great things after the military, because that's not what it's all about, right? I mean, when you're in, that's all it's about.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
there is definitely a life after this. Would you mind giving us like a, I don't know, 60-second brief overview of who you are and what got you to where you are today?
Yeah. So obviously the name's JP, but grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, joined the Navy in 95, was, in the SEAL teams from 96 through 2008. Got out, went to school, played football at the University of San Diego, where I met my wife. Currently live in Kauai in Hawaii. And I'm out here. I'm a firefighter, and then I also do some online coaching with men and women on weight loss and mindset, and just really trying to bring out the most effective version of themselves with my coaching.
I love it, man. I mean, what does Elon Musk say? Like, you get paid according to the value you provide to society or the problems you solve for society. So I think that's great, man. Let me ask you this. What made you go SEAL?
It's pretty funny. We kind of spoke about this a little bit, but when I was first looking into the military, I was looking at the PJs. And then, some of my friends were telling me, oh, you should go check out the Marines. So I walk into a Marine recruiter, and it's funny because the Marine recruiter and the Navy recruiter are right next door to each other.
Right.
And I'm talking to the Marine recruiter, and he's talking to me about force recon. He's like, yeah, these guys are badass. And, they do this, that, whatever. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sounds cool. And there's like a cutout in the wall. And next door is the Navy recruiting office. And I can see through the cutout in the wall. There's these couches and a TV playing. And there's these guys jumping out of the airplanes, diving in the water, shooting guns. And I'm like, what do those guys do? He's like, you don't want to know about those guys. And then, and just as I said that, a Navy recruiter walks out from around the corner, almost like he was waiting for me to say something.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you do. He's like, come on over here. Let me tell you about these guys. And, he told me about those guys. And next thing you know, I'm one of them.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I think that's hilarious. I bet there's a lot of competition in those circles.
Yeah. I mean, right next door to each other for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the Air Force does the same thing, right? For the enlisted side anyway, they advertise all the special operations stuff, and then 99% of the people that want to do that don't. It, right.
It's a huge recruiting tool just to get people in, and then put them wherever they need them.
Yeah. So you said you were in before the war started, so you got to see the whole kickoff. How much involvement did you have in that?
I wouldn't say a whole lot. I always tell people, like, I was in Iraq right when everything started, because we were basically waiting out in the Gulf, waiting for things to kick off. And then I watched the missiles launched from the ships. And I remember going downstairs into the galley of the ship that we were on and just watching CNN. And they're like, oh, it's the deadline was tonight and this and that. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, just wait, it's coming, and all of a sudden the bombs start dropping. And that night or early that morning, we were on a helicopter into the southern part of Iraq to secure a port. And, other than that, it was, just kind of like there in the South and making sure that we could get humanitarian aid into the South there.
Yeah.
And after that, we left and, some other people came in and I went to go be a SEAL instructor after that. So, I tell people that I was probably there at the safest time because, at that time, there wasn't all these other outside influences coming in from like Syria, Iran, and, the insurgents and all that. So you kind of knew who you were fighting. So, I'd say that was the height of my involvement. And then, went back, was an instructor and, did that part.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's weird to me how much it's changed because I was there. The first time I was there was in 2010. So, because I didn't get into pararescue until 2006. I come into another service and everything, but it's interesting because it has changed so much. There's been so many different phases of that war. And now, of course, draw down and it's just occupation at this point. And then it's wild. I don't know. Just looking back, it's wild. I don't know how many of our listeners can connect with that, but it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. How things change.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yep. Definitely huge piece of history. Hopefully we don't forget all that because I think we've learned a lot, both on the military side, but also on as a country.
Yeah.
But what were your biggest lessons coming away? I mean, you spent, don't make me do the math, how many years in the Navy?
13 years.
13 years. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at public math. In public. So what was your biggest lessons coming out of the Navy like that? From an instructor, of course, and then combat, early war?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the structure, right? Like when you're in the military, everything is kind of laid out for you, and as long as you do what you're supposed to do, everything works out. And I would say the biggest lessons I learned, I think probably the biggest lessons I learned were after I got out of the military.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I would say that some of those lessons are appreciating the people around you, because when you leave a group like the SEAL teams, you're surrounded by, some of the best freaking guys you could be surrounded by, that would literally give their lives for you. And you just don't have that from what I found, out, in everyday life, I guess. Yeah. I'd say the closest thing to that would be, being in the fire department now, here on Kauai. But it's still not to that level, right?
Yeah.
And then just the other lesson is that, okay, doing shit for yourself now, right? So, it's a different struggle when you leave the military to, especially if you're, looking into building your own business and doing those types of things. It's kind of a maze you got to figure out.
Yeah. I would almost say you have a leg up because you have the discipline and you know what it takes to be committed to a mission, to an idea, to an end goal. But at the same time, like, I think a lot of guys definitely struggle with that because all of a sudden the structure is not there.
Yeah.
And so me and my brother built our own business as well. And one of the things, and he gets on me about this all the time, and I feel like you can relate. So as a SEAL, and I was attached to several SEAL teams and SF teams and all that, as one of the operators, if you have an issue, you just talk to support and they take care of it, but when you create your own business, you got to do it. Now you're doing it, like who's fixing, who's figuring out the computer program, who's building the CRM, who's, who's making those calls. You're like,
oh my God,
I just want to be on target.
Seriously, like something as silly as, how do I put captions on, my videos and stuff like that. Like seriously.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is taking forever. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
where's the tech guy that can help me with this,
Yeah. My brother's always giving me crap about that. He's like, we cannot hire for that. We can't hire. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And then it was worse. What made it worse too is I just read this book. I don't know, about 4 or 5 months ago. I'm a big reader too, but Who Not How. Have you read that book?
I have not. I think I've heard of it though.
It's a great book, but that's what it's about. Is like, if you don't know how to do something, find somebody that does, and don't let that stop you. Find somebody that does and leverage them, and work with them.
Right. But then it's like, okay, how much money am I willing to push out to, do these things that, okay, maybe I should learn to do, or, know to do, but it's like, oh man.
All right. So fast forward, exited the SEAL teams, went back to college. You said you played football and you got your degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
Went to school in San Diego. What'd you play in football? What position? Just curious.
Running back. Yeah. So I was 30. Nice. So I was 32. I was actually working as a strength coach with USD. I got involved with CrossFit, and through that, the strength coach at USD, had me volunteer and help with some of the teams. And as I was helping him, I was looking at the football team, and I'm like, you know what? I might be able to hang with these guys. And I was playing a lot of rugby at the time. I actually had played international rugby. I played for Mexico at the USA Sevens.
Oh, bro, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then I started looking into like eligibility because I'd kind of given up on the dream of playing football. But then when I started to see that it might be a possibility again, I was all for it. And went and played a year at a junior college at Mesa College in San Diego. Got enough film to walk on at the University of San Diego, and then played at the University of San Diego as a running back.
That's brilliant, man.
Yeah, it was really pretty awesome. Yeah, I was 30. So my last season, I was 34, almost 35. And, it's like there was a kid in my running back group who was 17. I was like, bro, I could be your dad.
That's wild. That is wild.
Yeah. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, so where did the internet? So I play rugby too. I don't play now. Ever since the pandemic, I haven't played, but I used to play Division II out of Southern Pines, North Carolina.
Okay.
And but
do you ever play against Norfolk?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure. We went to nationals or 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
When I was there, so we played everybody up and down the East Coast, so long as they, we made it in our bracket. Obviously.
Yeah.
I'd have to look back through. I don't know specifically, but
yeah.
But yeah, I always played flanker, and I always equivalent.
Okay.
That's just like running back. But you played sevens. How did you get into the international sevens leagues down in Mexico?
Yeah, it was kind of funny because I played for OMBAC, which is in San Diego, and at the time OMBAC was a powerhouse. Sevens national champions, 15s national champions, and I was playing with them, and I played position as a wing and fullback, sometimes scrum half.
Nice.
And so playing with them, and that's just the rugby team that I played for. I can remember I was, I don't know, just cruising around in San Diego, and I get a phone call on my cell, and it's like, hey, is this, and there's an accent, right? It's like, is this JP Bolwahnn? And I'm like, yeah, this is JP. And the guy's like, we're interested in you coming to play for Mexico. And I'm like, what? Like, who is this? I was like, and I think it's like one of my buddies that, prank calling me. And I'm like, okay, dude, whatever. I was like, whatever. I was like, that's funny. And he keeps on. No, he's like, no, I'm serious. And so come to find out, they had tried to recruit one of my friends, Sammy Gonzalez, and he couldn't play for Mexico because he had already played at the junior level for the United States. And once you play for a country, you can't play for another country according to IRB rules. You can't play for another country. And so it's different for Olympics and stuff like that. You just need a passport and, be a citizen. But according to IRB, and I don't know if they've changed the rules or not. Once you've played for a country, you can't play for another country. And so he's like, I can't, come play for you guys. He's like, but I know somebody who has Mexican background, and they'd be a great addition to your team. And so he gave him my cell number. They called me. I went down, trained at the Olympic Training Center that they have in Mexico City.
Yeah.
And then played in the 2009 USA Sevens against Fiji, Scotland, Canada, Wales, Argentina. Yeah, it was really cool.
That is awesome. Those are some powerhouses too. I mean, Fiji,
Oh my God. Yeah. Fiji,
Argentina,
they
yes.
destroyed us,
South
but
Africa. Did
it was
they?
still fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are big dudes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. That's a really cool piece of your life for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It
was
was
that all while
amazing.
you were in college?
No, no. So I got out in 2008, and that was like a little brief period in between um going to school and getting out.
That
Yeah.
sounds fun, man. I
Yeah.
was full time in the military, so I never opened myself up to that. But a bunch of guys did go to play internationally on
Yeah.
sevens teams and stuff. That's really cool, though.
Yeah.
Um,
It was fun. Yeah.
I bet. Yeah, that's cool. All right, so you did finished college, got married, went to
Yeah.
Hawaii.
Yeah. Yeah. So my wife's born and raised out here. As soon as we got married, we had a 2 to 3 year plan to move back, which turned into like 2 to 3 months. Um, and Kauai is it's a rural island, and so there's not a ton of opportunity unless you're in hospitality or military. Like there's one military base, and so options were kind of limited. So what I ended up doing was getting my real estate license, and I was actually going to go into commercial real estate out in San Diego. But then when I came out here, I was like, there's just not a ton of commercial real estate. So ended up getting into residential real estate, and then into some development sales. But then when the fire came along, I missed being around, guys, and, just having that camaraderie and of, the team aspect.
Yeah.
And so now I'm a firefighter and still have my real estate license, but focused on the fire and the coaching, because I've traveled all over the world teaching CrossFit, teaching weightlifting. And it's just a big part of who I am and what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fun, man. I mean, that's what it's about, life by design and actually enjoying what you do. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah. I got 2 little girls that are awesome. Yeah. They're one's 4 years old. One's almost 2. So she's about 22 months, I guess now. So
that's when they get fun, I think, is 2 years old. I mean, everything before that's just crying and pooping and feeding. At least for the father. I don't know. Don't let my wife hear me say that. No, I'm with you. I feel like I'm right alongside you there. But so let's talk about the coaching.
Yeah.
You run your own coaching business, right? Is this
higher level coaching?
Higher level coaching. All right, cool. Yeah. That'll be in the show notes, everybody, too, so you can look that up if you want. But what do you guys focus on there in that coaching?
Yeah, so I focus on coaching men that want to lose some weight. Maybe they don't feel like they're being as effective as they want in their life, or like just feel like there's more out there. And what I do is right now I have a 12-week program where we focus on weight loss, habit forming, dealing with feelings, and basically what your purpose is, right? So like a lot of times people tell me like, I want to do these things, but I don't know why I can't do them. I feel like I don't have my why, that type of stuff. So we work on some of that as well. And just, work on the weight loss, and just, people leave the program thinner, healthier, and just feeling overall better with what they're doing and where they're going.
Yeah. No, I like that. And I think that it's important that you focus on the why. I'm a huge fan of Viktor Frankl. I don't know if you've read any of his books. Yeah. Like Man's Search for Meaning. A man with a strong enough why can survive anyhow.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what it's about, finding that purpose in life. And if you don't have that purpose, it makes it a lot tougher for sure. Or what's the other quote? It's like, man who enjoys walking will go further than the man who's walking just for the goal. So
Yeah,
like,
just the destination. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
enjoying that life. Um, I imagine you see how long you've been doing the coaching.
Well, it's been the life coaching side, I'd say probably about a couple years now. And I just started doing groups right at the beginning of this year, or I'd say around Thanksgiving last year.
Nice.
Yeah. So I've got a few men's groups already going, and then a couple women's groups. So
And if somebody was trying to
yeah.
get involved and they wanted to know more, is this like one on one? Is this, you said you have groups, but
Yeah.
you do one on one as well, or
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So I have groups that are about 5 to 10 guys big, that, I start usually about once every other month or once every 3 months. And then I also do one-on-one coaching, which is, it allows for more flexibility because it's just one person. So,
yeah.
we do also do 3 months there, or, for people that want more, we just keep rolling.
And this isn't all just on Kauai, right? We're talking, is this virtual as well,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah. It's all virtual, right? So we
okay,
do, yeah. So each week we get on a phone call or a Zoom call, and there's some education piece to it, whatever I'm working on or whatever I feel is valuable to them, and then also discussing any struggles, challenges that they might have, and how to overcome them, any obstacles, and it's just helping guide with using mindset. And because the reality is most people know what they should be doing, right?
right,
Most people know, like, okay, it's not a secret. How'd you lose weight? Oh, diet and exercise, right? It's like everybody knows that, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
And if you don't, you've
but
been living under a rock.
yeah, so it's like okay, but why don't I do what I know what I'm supposed to do? And it's the
Right.
same thing with business. It's like there's procrastination, but more often than not, there's something else that either from their past or something that some thoughts or beliefs that they have about themselves that they need to overcome to break down any barriers and get the stuff done that they need to get done.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
Very, very rare is it that somebody just doesn't know what to eat or how to eat, but that is occasionally true.
yeah. And it's interesting, and I've noticed this too. When people change one little part of their life, so let's say they do start to get in shape, all of a sudden their perceived potential
Oh,
changes.
it's huge.
Yeah, and then, man, I could earn more money. Oh, I could start a business. I could find a lover. I can whatever. Like all of a sudden, this stuff changes, and it doesn't have to be fitness. It could just be, it could be anything. But like, I got a new coat and I feel better. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
No, I've
so
got I've got 5 parts to my coaching, right? So first is, and I've been coming up with these phrases, but so construct the warrior body,
mhm,
right? That's basically the foundation. That's important. Um, Working on identifying your higher purpose, right? Sharpening emotional regulation, right? So managing your feelings, um, finding a coach. Those are all like parts of it. And, you know, the last part of it, which is, basically the glue that holds it all together, is operating with mental authority.
mhm.
Right. And what that means to me is, like, you hear people talking about mental management and all of that, but it's still okay. I'm trying to manage my thoughts, because we all have thoughts throughout the day, but how many of those thoughts are serving you or helping you get you to where you want to go? Right. So when you have authority over those thoughts,
Yeah.
now you're being intentional with your life, what you're doing, and where you're going. And so those are the 5 parts to what I'm coaching.
No, that's great. I mean, you're essentially, it's awareness, right? Because you have to be
Yeah.
aware of when those thoughts come up. It does this serve me and does it not?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's really powerful. And I think it's as easy as sometimes it's as easy as what do I want? What do I want out of life? What do I want out of this situation? Right?
Yeah.
How can I maximize that? And then using your tools to get there. No,
Yeah.
that's cool, man.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
most people don't even ask that question, right? Like, it's as simple as that, like asking questions that are going to lead you to where you want to go, as opposed to questions that, like, why can't I do this? Or why is this so hard for me? But like, like how can I make this work? Or what do I want out of this? Like those types of questions those are huge,
Yeah. Yeah.
and anybody that's been coached by Tony Robbins will say that, the quality of your life is dependent upon the quality of the questions that you ask yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
You
heard
know,
that. That's a great
yeah,
quote. Do you have a coach?
I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I actually have a couple coaches, which is, and each one of them helps me in different ways. So one is mindset and different things around business, and then another one is just straight business, like the tactics and how to grow the
Yeah.
business. Yeah,
Yeah. That's
and
smart. I mean,
yeah,
you know what you want, and there's other people that have done it before you, have gone
yeah,
there before you. Help me get there faster, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I could struggle through it on my own and beat myself up and
Yeah.
do all those things. But anytime I've ever, I guess, succeeded in life, or, I look back on what I've done, like, okay, so becoming a Navy SEAL, there was instructors there, right?
Yeah.
They're still coaches, but not your like friendly coach, but they're still helping you to get along, get through, right? And then
Yeah.
playing football, you have a coach. Anytime you're playing a sport, there's a coach. And it just makes sense that if you're gonna build a business, or if you're looking to get in shape, why not have a coach?
How much is it worth to you, right?
Yeah,
And how much is your success, your happiness, worth to you? I have a coach as well.
yeah,
I'm a huge proponent of it. I get that question a lot though. Like, why would you pay for a coach? And I think a lot of people get into that. Well, I can figure it out. Well, sure,
yeah,
yeah, you can, but
yeah,
don't you want to do it faster and be the best at it? And then, I
yeah,
mean, just look at the people that have, like you said, look at the people that have coaches. Michael Jordan, like all these famous athletes, they all have coaches, and then probably more than one of them, some of them too.
yeah,
And then same thing with the business side. People just don't see it on the business. You don't know that. I'm trying to think. You don't know like some of these massive people had coaches like Donald Trump or whatever. Like even the
yeah,
presidents of the United States have coaches.
yeah.
They have speech
Advisors,
coaches.
whatever it is. Yeah,
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 yeah. So I'm a huge fan, man, of reaching out, leveraging other people's experience and expertise on that.
yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Why waste time? How
Yeah,
much time do you want to spend figuring something out anyway?
yeah,
um,
yeah.
that's cool, man. Is it just you? Do you have anybody else in your business?
No, yeah, just me. Yeah,
Just you.
just me. Yeah. I mean, I imagine at some point there'll be more coaches, or, different offerings, that type of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
right now it's just a solo show, you know?
That's awesome, man. The JP
Yeah.
show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you ever looked at like, I'm just curious from a business owner standpoint,
Yeah.
how do you track all your clients? How do you onboard them and then keep them all organized and everything?
Yeah. So I basically have a software that I use. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's just Kajabi.
Mm-hmm. I
So
have
it's
heard of
like
it. Yeah.
it's a CRM, and then I also I can host courses on there, and different stuff like that. But it's like kind of an all-in-one type thing. I can send out emails. And I'm sorry, dude. My daughter's over here. She's crying for something. Give me a second,
No
dude. Yeah,
worries. No
yeah,
worries
yeah.
at all. Yeah.
Zoe. Sorry about that, man.
No worries, man. We'll
It's
have it
yeah,
edited
yeah.
out. Yeah.
It's 7 a.m. and the girl is my oldest daughter. She's 4, and she's all mad because mom wrecked her fort.
These are
So
real world problems to those kids.
yeah, yeah. So I told her I'd fix it for her. So
Yeah. All right. That's awesome, man. I mean,
yeah,
that's life. More and more people are doing business from home too. And I think more and more people are getting used to it,
yeah, Yeah.
I love seeing the blooper videos though, where like the guy walks by naked in the background
Oh
or
my
something. I think
gosh.
that's just
Yeah.
hilarious. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, no worries. We can edit all that piece, but
Yeah.
that's real. That's father life. That's working from home,
Yeah.
having a business. That's real.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's cool. What are some of the biggest like winning stories from your coaching so far? You have any big ones?
um,
Life
yeah.
changing.
So like you said that, when people lose weight, it's huge for them. Um, I would say the life changing one. So I just had a guy on my most recent podcast, a client. He's lost 30 pounds. That's awesome,
That's
right?
huge.
I
Yeah.
had I had another gentleman who lost close to 30 pounds, like 20 something pounds. And then, and several like stories of guys losing pounds and girls too. But I would say the life changing one was a client of mine, Ray, who type 2 diabetic, came to me, found me through the internet and wanted to work with me one on one. We designed a program for him. We did our weekly check-ins, our coaching, all of that. And he started reversing his type 2 diabetes. Right.
Wow.
And so, we did that with, fasting and eating, a certain diet. And the guy took his A1C from, I think it was around 11 or something like that. And it was down to 6 within the 3 months. And so that was huge. And he had already taken off. He was on like 3 or 4 medications. By the time that we were done working together, he was down to 1 medication and was, working his way to get off of that medication. And the dude was like night and day compared to when we first started talking and to the time that we were done working together. And, we still check in and he's still, kicking butt and doing things. So I would say that's life changing because he literally, had he not done anything, type 2 diabetes, hyperinsulinemia, when you start to become resistant to insulin, it just creates a whole mess of, like chronic
Yeah.
disease in your body. And so that was really cool.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I think what it's cool about, and kind of touching back on the coaching side, is what's cool about that is people have unlimited potential, but they don't know how to tap into it sometimes. And that's what the coaches
Yeah.
help do. Right.
Yeah.
And so he's always had that within him. You just help
Yeah.
guide him into that. That's really cool, man.
Yeah. And what else was cool is that he didn't know how to swim. And so part of the program was like, all right, let's find something that, what's been on your mind that you haven't done,
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, all right, this week you're going to find a pool and you're going to start, taking lessons. And by the end of it, he was swimming and, getting down and back. And it was awesome. I mean, the guy literally can now go to the beach and not have to worry about drowning and, that
Yeah.
type of stuff. I mean, to me, that's super cool.
That is, yeah, that is really cool, especially if it's been on his mind for that long. He's had apprehension about it and everything. So,
Yeah.
what's next for the coaching business? Are you have a book? You gonna do webinars? Gonna go on tour, man?
Yeah. So I'm looking at putting together a presentation or like a keynote speech type thing because I have done some speaking for some baseball teams and different teams and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So I will be looking at doing that. And then just expanding the coaching business and growing it from there. I mean, I don't know exactly how it'll look, but each day it's kind of figuring it out more and more. I'll
yeah,
have more of courses, self-directed courses that people can take, with like videos and all that type of stuff. And then for the people that, want to dive in deeper, there'll be, other coaching packages to work with me.
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
brilliant, man. I think that's
Yeah.
kind of the model that most coaches go, to scale out. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
essentially that's what you want. If you want to expand your message, you want to help more people, you gotta grow at some level.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
can't just be you alone.
Yeah, and I think there's some value to some of the things that I've done. I mean, not just, being a SEAL and stuff like that, but um, playing rugby, playing college football in my 30s. Like there's a lot of things that I had to go through mindset wise and body wise to make sure that I was ready to do those types of things.
Yeah.
And so just being able to talk about some of those things.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's, that's relatable because that's what people want to be able to do. Somehow you tapped into it and were able to do it on your own. And now you're able to share that and give that back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have a couple more questions. But I want to know, like, what's your biggest, what's your life philosophy for winning? How do you know if you're winning? If life was measured as a game, how would you know you're actually on track to win?
I guess I look at it is when I'm looking at my life, I always think about this, right? So whenever I die, like I want to be able to look back on my life and say, yeah, I tried, at least attempted everything I wanted to try.
Yeah.
Right. There's obviously some things that I'm like, oh, that'd be cool, but it's not really like a bucket list type thing. But I want to look back on my life and say, I gave everything I could to the body I had, the family I had, whatever it is. And, it's just like looking at, I think is it the 7 habits of highly effective men or people where it's like begin with the end in mind? Like what do you want people to say at your funeral about you?
Yeah.
Right. And so I want to obviously have good things for people to say and people to know that I went after the things that I said I was going to go after and didn't hold back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's,
to me,
that's,
that's success, having a good family, having grandkids that, look up to their grandpa and, that type of stuff. So,
yeah. Yeah. No, I love that book. I'm a big fan of that way of thinking too. There's
yeah.
another one that I really got turned on to was, I can't think of his name. I think it's Max. He wrote a book, Max It Out or something like that. He's a coach and
Oh,
podcaster,
Ed
but
Milet.
Ed Milet. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. He talks about, he's like, I think somebody asked him, like, who's your hero or your biggest mentor? And he's like, it's me, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, that I want to
Yeah.
get to meet and look at. And he's going to be like, you could have done this, this, and this, and you did it. And that's awesome. And
Yeah.
like, I want to meet that guy. Like,
Yeah.
he did amazing things, affected, so many different lives and helped so many different people and built an empire or whatever it was, and,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's cool. Yeah, yeah. All right. I get a little caught up in some of that.
No, no, no. I mean, seriously, I think
Yeah.
that's what motivates me too. And, it's taken a while too, because, I'll be talking with another former team guy, like a friend of mine. And, it's like, you figure out you're trying to figure out how to help people and spread your message to people and help them. And sometimes you're just so caught up in living your life and you don't understand like how some of the things that you've done can help people. So it helps having other people around you that, can kind of give you that and teach you, or I guess show you how you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I mean, that's really well said. I think when I was in the military, so I did 21 years and, for the longest time, my goal was to deploy as often as possible,
Mm-hmm.
to, do all these different things to get this mission and that mission. And it's just stupid stuff. It's stupid, but it's like, those were the things I was really focused on,
Yeah.
but then you realize, like, at some level, you realize there's more to it. I had my kids. My daughter was like, when are you going to start living with us for real?
Mm.
And that was
Yeah,
pretty
that's
heavy. I was
tough.
like, oh man, yeah, you're right. And luckily, like, the war died down for me, so it made more sense anyway. So I retired. Um, but like, yeah, you going through all those things, making the college team in your 30s, going back to college, like you're way out of your comfort zone. Well, for me,
Yeah.
that would have been out of my comfort zone. I don't know how you felt, But going
Oh
back,
yeah, there was plenty of times where I was sitting in class. I'm like, "Are you serious right now?"
yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah,
but like, what do they say? The biggest moments for growth happen when you're uncomfortable, like
yeah,
you're being stressed. And I think that's another Tony Robbins thing. If you're not growing, you're dying. And that's it. Like you're living to the fullest. You're maximizing your life. You're doing amazing things. But you're so focused on that stuff, you don't realize how much you can give back. Yeah, just
yeah.
like you said. All right. So what brings you the most joy in life right now?
Um, I'd say being around the family, you know, yeah. So, I think about yesterday. I had, I'd really wanted to go to jujitsu, but I was running late from, coming back from town. And so I picked up my girls from my in-laws and, I just brought them home and we just kind of hung out. And there's a couple points last night where I was like, man, this is just awesome. So like one was we were all three of us were sitting on the couch and they're all like, they hardly ever sit right next to me and they're just like kind of cuddled up next to me. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. I got to take a picture of this. Right. And I was excited about that because, most of the time they're like, dad, get away from me, whatever it is. But it was cool. They were both like, right next to me. And it was just it was a cool moment for me as a dad. And then, normally it's all about mom. And then so later on, we're playing around and just playing with them. Like they're, my daughter's starting jujitsu and she's like trying to arm bar me and do these different things. And, then the other one's just coming in, running in. And so to me, that's a lot of fun. And when it all comes down to it, yeah, like I enjoy coaching. I enjoy being a firefighter. I enjoy, being out in the water out here on Kauai or going on hikes and stuff like that. But like pure joy is like, playing with my girls, having fun, that type of stuff. Oh, I lost you.
Yeah, sorry. I
Yeah.
muted because my dog went crazy. Um, the other thing I was going to bring up too is like your daughter, your oldest is 4. My
Mm-hmm.
oldest is 8. She's just started softball. As an athlete, like that is fun watching them develop. Like she just started catching the ball and like
Oh, okay, cool.
yeah, and I was like, we were playing catch yesterday, and I was like, yeah, and that was awesome. And my wife comes outside, she's like, what are you guys yelling about? And I'm like pumped up, to see her do that. And
Yeah.
she's got a swing now and she's hitting the ball and stuff. So it's like that part, you got a lot to look forward to there. That's a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, yeah. She picks things up pretty quickly, and she it's interesting trying to think of like what kind of sports she's gonna play because she's on the smaller side, right? I'm short, and so she's short, but she's fairly athletic, so it's interesting to see what she's gonna gravitate to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's fun. You'll start. I mean, we experimented with a bunch of things from piano to gymnastics, soccer,
yeah, yeah.
but it's fun. Yeah. She gets to do all that. How do you balance that? How do you balance the business? I mean, because you got two jobs essentially. You're doing the
Yeah.
coaching, you're doing firefighting, but then of course you have 2 kids and your wife. How are you balancing that?
Yeah, I mean that's the hard part because my wife works as a nurse, and so
Mm-hmm.
she's doing shift work as well. So luckily we have her parents close by to help out, but um, with the schedule, having a planner, having my electronic, like I like to have a physical planner
Mm-hmm.
because it's easy for me to kind of open up and just kind of see the week at a glance, and then an electronic calendar to kind of keep me on task as well.
Yeah.
um and just making sure like to organize with the wife. Okay, like what are you doing here this day, what's going on this day, that type of stuff, and where do we need to be, and a lot of communication. um it's not perfect all the time, but it's there's certain things that I got to do, especially, like coaching calls, can't be rescheduling coaching calls and that type of stuff. And so I just make sure it all works with, luckily for me, the fire schedule doesn't change.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I know what I'm going to be doing, is assuming I stay on the same shift. My schedule's not changing from today to, next year or the year after, right?
Nice.
I can look ahead 1 year from now and know if I'm working today or not.
Yeah.
um and so, or on this date or not. And I just schedule my coaching calls when I need to, and then also schedule time for recording my podcast, or spending time with my kids, jujitsu, and yeah.
Yeah. If you don't schedule it, it doesn't happen. And I
Right.
think a lot of guys, I was victim to this, or my own victim of my own demise, but whatever. But like, I didn't schedule time for my family, for my kids. And then at the
Yeah.
beginning, and
Or for yourself.
yeah,
That's a huge one too.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because I
Yeah.
adamant about working out, but if I don't schedule it, like all of a sudden that schedule just creeps in, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
important. But like you said, you got to be intentional. You're defining what's important to you, so you put that on the schedule.
Yeah.
All right. So last two questions. If money wasn't an issue for you and your family, what would you do next?
Hmm. So I'd get our house built. So right now we have a lot, and we have it's out for bid right now.
Mhm.
But yeah, that would be the first thing. Other than that, I would take my girls and my wife, to travel the world, first class, to experience other parts of the world, because all they know is, especially my girls, all they know is Hawaii.
Yeah.
Right. So they need
What a
to,
punishment.
yeah. Yeah. So part of that trip will be punishment. No, I mean, seriously though, like taking them to places that, may or may not be the richest, wealthiest, whatever it is. Like I think it's important to experience other parts of the world, because if you grew up in the United States, I mean, shit, you got it made. I don't care where you grow up.
Yeah.
Um, but when you compare it to, the townships of like South Africa, or
Yeah.
or some of the favelas in Brazil, and it's like, man, like it's a struggle,
Yeah.
and it's really eye-opening when you see some of that stuff. And I think that's important for people to see, and to just have an awareness about, right? I think it makes you a better person, and to see those types of things.
Yeah. Expand your horizons.
Yeah.
No, I love it, man. I'm a huge fan of traveling. So where's the first place you'd go?
Um, well, we'd probably just start off kind of easy and go like somewhere in Europe or something like that,
Yeah.
and then start progressing towards maybe South America. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nice. All right. And then lastly, I mean, because this conversation was great. I think we forgot to mention your podcast. What's your podcast called?
The Highly Effective Man.
The Highly
Yeah.
Effective Man. I got to check
Yeah.
that out too.
Yeah,
So
please do.
yeah.
Yeah.
But where can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about your coaching? Maybe get involved.
Yeah. So I'm on LinkedIn, JP Bolwahnn. You can find me there. You can also go to my website, which is higherlevelcoaching.co. And then there, just kind of it describes what I do, some of the coaching I have, and how you can, get involved if you want. And then also on Instagram, it's jpb.coaching. And that's where you'll find me there. And there I just kind of, it's your typical Instagram, put out some motivational stuff here and there, and then stuff with the family, and, yeah.
Yeah. That's
Those
great,
are the
man.
best. Yeah. Those are the best places to find me.
Yeah, that's good. This has been a great conversation. I actually got a lot of other questions, but I want to be respectful of your time. So thanks so much for joining us. Yeah.
No, yeah. Yeah. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. I'm moving out to Hawaii here soon, so we might have to link up. Like I've been working on that with my wife. We're trying to get that going. So
Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
yeah. My family used to live in Maui, so I love that. I love Maui,
Okay.
but I have never been to Kauai, but my cousin is out there. So
Oh, you got to check out Kauai before you decide on Maui, though.
yeah. I know it's
Yeah.
probably a little more expensive too in Maui anyway.
Yeah. We always tell people, hey, if you're coming to Kauai, like, don't come here, go to Maui.
There's a lot smaller, right? Like smaller
Yeah.
towns.
So
And,
yeah, if you want to look at, if you're looking at the islands and, for your audience too, like Oahu's, it's fairly busy. It's got the city and it's the island with the most people and the busiest streets and all that. Kauai is kind of in between, or Maui is kind of in between Oahu, which is, the big like, or the island that has like all the cities and stuff, and Kauai. So Kauai is very rural. You got chickens running around everywhere. And so
Moana.
Yeah, there you go. Right. So it's what I tell people is like, when you picture Hawaii, if you've never been, like, you picture Kauai.
Yeah.
Right. And then if your first experience is Oahu, then you're like, what? This is a big city. This isn't what I imagined Hawaii to be like. And then Maui has some rural to it, but then it also has it has a little bit of both, which is good too.
Yeah. My cousin's pictures are gorgeous, so I can only, but all right, man, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been awesome.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on, man.
Absolutely.
Enjoyed it.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you on the next one. Take care. All right. Thank you so much for tuning into today's podcast. We hope you found the information and insights shared valuable and thought-provoking. And if you liked this show, please subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And until next time, stay winning, stay curious, and crush life.